Welcome to the deep dive. You've really brought us somewhere fascinating today. It feels like we're standing right at a crossroads, where solid science kind of bumps up against some really wild, out there ideas.
Definitely. We're talking torsion fields today.
Exactly. And your curiosity, the things you sent over, that's what got us started down this path.
It's quite the journey, isn't it? You have this concept that, well, technically sits within physics, but
Whether
then...
it gets picked up by people way outside the mainstream.
Precisely. And it's amazing how that one term, torsion field, means such vastly different things depending on who you ask.
Right. So on the one side, you've got Einstein's general relativity.
Where torsion is, let's see, a geometric thing, space-time geometry.
Like to spin, right? Angular momentum.
Yeah, exactly. Very mathematical, very theoretical within that framework.
Okay. But then you have the other side.
Yes.
Yeah.
The claims of a real, measurable energy field.
And not just any energy field. We're talking, well, frankly, mind-bending properties.
Things like faster-than-light communication.
Which is just...
Manipulating gravity, even influencing consciousness or healing. Things not covered by standard physics at all.
And that's the key thing to grasp right from the start, isn't it?
Absolutely. The crucial distinction, in established physics, it's a defined theoretical idea.
Okay.
The big split happens when people claim it's this tangible force that can, break the known rules.
And you have to admit, those claims are pretty captivating.
Oh, absolutely.
I mean, manipulating gravity, that's classic sci-fi dream stuff.
It is. And then add in potential healing powers affecting the mind.
It just opens up this whole Pandora's box of possibilities, doesn't it? Seems almost limitless.
It does, but that's also where we need to bring in, a healthy dose of critical thinking.
For sure.
It's human nature to want to push boundaries, to understand everything. But when claims get this extraordinary...
You need extraordinary evidence.
Exactly. What's really interesting here is seeing how a term with scientific roots gets twisted, or maybe expanded, into whole new theories.
Even when the hard proof isn't really there.
Right. Even when that robust empirical support is missing.
Which naturally leads us right into the conspiracy theories around all this, because it's not just folks debating alternative science ideas anymore, is it?
No, it's much more than that. There's this whole narrative.
A narrative that this incredible knowledge, this power, is being deliberately hidden, suppressed.
Yeah, that theme of suppressed science pops up a lot when you have ideas that really shake the foundations.
Things that challenge the established way of thinking.
Exactly. The argument within the torsion field context is often that mainstream science just won't even look at it because it doesn't fit the current models.
Which creates a sort of vacuum, right? Where ideas about secret discoveries can really grab hold.
It does. It creates that space.
And then things get even more serious. The idea of weaponization.
Ah, yes. High stakes.
The thinking goes, well, if you can control fundamental forces like gravity or whatever these fields are,
the military potential would be immense, unprecedented.
Giving whoever has it this massive advantage.
It plays on very real fears, about how powerful technologies could be misused.
That idea of secret weapons, shadowy groups, it's compelling stuff.
It is compelling. Even without concrete proof, the narrative itself has power.
And naturally, you almost always find this element in these kinds of theories: free energy.
The holy grail for many alternative science fields.
The claim that torsion fields could provide limitless clean energy, which, let's face it, sounds amazing right now.
Incredibly appealing, especially with climate change and energy costs.
But the conspiracy angle adds that extra layer. It's being deliberately kept from us.
Right. By the powers that be, the energy giants who want to protect their profit.
It taps into that distrust of big corporations.
It does. But again, we have to be careful. Differentiating hopeful ideas from scientifically proven energy sources is vital.
Because turning a theoretical concept like torsion into practical, limitless energy, that's a huge leap.
A massive leap. It would likely require overturning fundamental laws like energy conservation, which is, well, a major hurdle for any free energy claim we know of.
And just when you think it can't get wilder, some theories bring in mind control.
Yes. The idea that these fields could manipulate thoughts, consciousness itself.
That's deeply unsettling.
It taps into profound anxieties about control, manipulation, losing autonomy.
Very real fears.
Absolutely valid concerns when discussing any powerful tech. But the specific claims about torsion field mind control, they remain firmly in the realm of speculation.
Okay, so when you dig into this world, people promoting these ideas, they do offer up things they call evidence, right?
They do present certain findings or arguments, yes,
But you're saying we need to approach these with extreme caution.
definitely. A critical eye is essential. For instance, you often hear about anomalous experimental results.
Stuff that doesn't fit the standard model.
Exactly. Outcomes that proponents say, see, normal physics can't explain this. It must be torsion fields.
But it might not be that simple.
Rarely is. What's fascinating is how often correlation gets mistaken for causation. An unexpected blip in an experiment.
Could be anything. Instrument error, some other known effect.
Precisely. Jumping to, it's definitely this brand new hypothetical force requires rigorous investigation.
Yeah.
And crucially,
Replication.
independent replication.
Yeah.
Other labs getting the same under controlled conditions, that's often missing here.
You also hear historical names thrown around. Nikola Tesla comes up a lot.
He does, a recurring figure.
The story usually goes that Tesla was onto something huge, maybe related to torsion fields, but his work got shut down, suppressed.
It adds that layer of mystique, you know? Lost knowledge, hidden genius.
Tesla was undeniably brilliant, way ahead of his time in many ways.
No question. But linking his actual work directly to modern fringe theories about torsion fields, that often involves quite a bit of interpretation.
Reading things into it that maybe weren't there.
Potentially. Looking at his work through a 21st century lens, applying concepts he might not have recognized.
Got it. What about the claims about, like, Soviet research, Eastern Europe?
Yes, that's another common element. The suggestion that researchers in the former Soviet bloc were secretly way ahead of the West in understanding and using torsion fields.
Why there, specifically?
Well, it plays into Cold War-type anxieties, maybe. The idea of a hidden technological race, secret advancements happening behind the Iron Curtain.
But is there proof of this advanced Soviet torsion research?
Verifiable mainstream accepted proof, it's very scarce. Lots of claims, but hard evidence is elusive.
And then there are just straight-up technological claims, whispers of secret weapons already existing.
Right, or alternative healing gadgets that supposedly use these fields.
It paints this picture of a whole hidden world of technology operating alongside ours.
It does. But these claims usually lack specifics. No blueprints, no verifiable data, just assertions.
And the burden of proof is on them.
Always. Intriguing ideas need credible evidence.
And sometimes it feels like torsion fields become this catch-all explanation.
How so?
Like they get linked to UFOs, psychic powers, ghosts, pretty much any unexplained phenomenon.
Yes, that tendency to bundle unrelated mysteries under one grand unifying theory is, well, it's a hallmark of pseudoscience, frankly.
Trying to connect dots that might not actually connect.
Exactly. The desire for a simple explanation for complex, unrelated things is strong. But connections need to be built on logic and evidence, not just wishful association.
So let's talk about the tech itself as envisioned in these theories. What are we talking about? Torsion field generator.
Right. Devices that could supposedly create, control, and manipulate these fields?
Which would imply understanding how they work at a fundamental level.
A level far beyond our current mainstream scientific grasp, yes.
And then the big one, spacecraft propulsion.
Using torsion fields to travel.
The implications are just staggering. Faster than light travel, zipping across the galaxy.
It completely rewrites the rulebook for space exploration, doesn't it? It challenges Einstein, the speed of light barrier, everything.
No, it really does. It's hard to even wrap your head around.
Especially faster than light. That messes with causality, cause and effect. It's a massive theoretical hurdle within known physics.
Okay, what about the healing side? Devices using torsion fields.
The idea is technology that could, say, rapidly heal injuries, maybe even cure diseases, enhance physical abilities.
And another sci-fi trope, almost. Overcoming our biological limits.
That's it. And while medicine always seeks breakthroughs, claims like these need incredible scientific validation. Safety, efficacy.
Rigorous testing.
Exactly. Which is typically absent in claims based on these fringe theories.
And communication. Instantaneous across the universe.
That's another claimed application. No more light speed delay. Talk to someone on Mars or in another galaxy instantly.
Wow. That would change everything. Global interstellar society.
It would. But again, like FTL travel, instantaneous communication across vast distances bumps up against fundamental physics principles, like causality. How could a message arrive before it's technically had time to travel?
Yeah.
Mind-bending stuff. Okay, so why? According to the conspiracy theories, why hide all this? What are the alleged motives?
Several recurring motives pop up. A big one is always the energy monopoly.
Right. keep selling oil and gas, suppress the free energy tech.
The narrative is that powerful energy corporations, or governments tied to them, actively prevent torsion field energy from emerging because it would destroy their business model.
It plays into that skepticism about corporate power we mentioned.
Definitely. And the desire for clean energy makes the idea of suppressed solutions very potent.
Then there's the military angle again.
Military dominance, the classic motive. If you have torsion weapons, you rule the world.
So nations or secret groups are racing to develop them in secret.
That's the theory, the ultimate strategic advantage. It's a familiar trope in geopolitics and fiction.
And the social control aspect, the mind control potential.
That's another claimed motive. The fear that this tech could be used, or is being used, to manipulate populations.
Control thoughts, influence behavior on a mass scale. Chilling. It is. And concerns about technology enabling social control are valid. Broadly speaking, we should think about that.
But linking it specifically to torsion fields requires evidence that isn't there.
Correct. It's important to separate general societal anxieties from specific evidence-based claims about this particular hypothetical technology.
And finally, sometimes it all gets rolled up into the New World Order.
Ah, the grand overarching conspiracy.
The idea of a secret elite planning global domination, using torsion tech as one of their tools.
Yes, the NWO theory is this huge, complex web of beliefs about hidden power structures. Folding torsion fields into that just adds another technological element to their supposed arsenal.
Okay, so we've laid out the science, the speculation, the conspiracies, the alleged tech, the motives. Now it's crucial for you, listening, to take a step back.
Absolutely. Time for the critical assessment.
Because while these ideas are, undeniably intriguing,
There are major challenges, significant counterarguments.
the biggest one being
The almost complete lack of support for mainstream science.
the properties claimed in these fringe theories, FTL, gravity manipulation, etc., they just don't align with our vast, well-tested body of scientific knowledge.
That's really the crux of it. Science advances through rigorous peer review, reproducible experiments. Findings have to hold up under scrutiny.
And these torsion field claims often don't.
They generally lack that fundamental level of validation. Experiments cited are often hard to replicate independently.
Or the results can be explained by normal physics.
Often, yes. Anomalies might have mundane explanations that get overlooked in the rush to claim a revolutionary discovery. The burden of proof really lies with the claimant.
And they need solid, verifiable evidence that can stand up to scrutiny, not just anecdotes or misinterpreted data.
Exactly. Flawed methods, confirmation bias, these can easily lead to apparent anomalies that aren't real.
It's also worth pointing out where a lot of this information comes from, right?
Good point. Many sources promoting these theories fall into the category of pseudoscience.
They might look scientific, but they lack the rigor.
Precisely. They might not use peer review, might rely on speculation over data. You have to check the credibility of your sources.
A peer-reviewed journal carries more weight than, say, a random website.
Significantly more weight, yes.
And finally, some of the claimed technologies just seem impossible based on what we know.
They often appear to violate fundamental physical laws.
Yeah.
Faster than light travel, free energy. These aren't small tweaks to physics. They require overturning its very foundations.
And while science does evolve, overturning bedrock principles requires truly extraordinary, compelling evidence.
Absolutely. Breakthroughs happen,
Yeah.
but they usually build on or refine existing knowledge supported by rigorous proof. Claims that throw everything out need an exceptionally high bar for evidence, which just isn't met here.
So wrapping this up, this deep dive into torsion fields, it's been quite a ride.
It has.
It seems clear that while the term has roots in complex theoretical physics,
The leaf to these revolutionary, suppressed technologies and vast conspiracies, that remains firmly in the realm of speculation, not established science. But what's really interesting, I think, is what this whole phenomenon says about us.
How so?
It shows this deep human fascination with finding the next big thing, right? The revolutionary discovery.
And maybe a bit of distrust for authority, for established knowledge.
Perhaps a skepticism towards institutions, towards the idea that power might be hiding things. It highlights that tension.
The tension between the pull of these really exciting, unconventional ideas and the need for solid, evidence-based understanding, for scientific rigor in figuring out how the universe actually works.
It really makes you think about that balance, doesn't it? The allure of the unknown, the potential paradigm shift versus the slow, careful work of science. And you ponder, what if? What if even a tiny piece of it were true? What would that mean?
And equally, what does it tell us about belief, about psychology, that these ideas can be so powerful for some people, even without that concrete proof?
That's a deep question itself.
Right.
Why do certain ideas, even without strong evidence, resonate so much? Exploring the psychology, the sociology behind it, that can be just as revealing as looking at the scientific claims, perhaps even more so.
Well, your curiosity about torsion fields definitely took us on a unique exploration. We touched on real physics, fringe theories, conspiracy narratives.
Quite the spectrum.
We hope this deep dive has given you some clarity, maybe a framework for thinking about these kinds of claims.
Hopefully a useful perspective.
Maybe go back to those sources you found, look at them again with all this in mind. It might just spark some new questions for you.